All right. I would like to call to order the April meeting of the Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee. We are missing a handful of members. I'm not sure where they are, but we do have quorum, so we can go forth. I think just to settle in and or maybe give people a couple minutes to arrive, can we go around and do a little check-in like we've done before? Just say, I think we still haven't necessarily met everyone, so just say name, pronouns if you want, where you're like coming from if you want, and maybe one little check-in about how you're doing today. I am Veronica Pillar, they, them, or she, her, a county legislator, and I have been zipping between things all day, so I'm a little frazzled, but they were all very good things, so I'm glad. And I'll pass it to Rachel.
Rachel Graham, an employee at the county clerk's office. Let me see, she, her, and today has been really busy, but pretty good. Pass it over to Lisa.
Thanks, Rachel. Hi, Lisa Holmes, County Administration, she, her, and I'm tired from several nights of late meetings, but I'm good. So let's see, how about I'll pass it to Dina.
Dina Badner, Deputy Commissioner, DSS, she, her. I'm doing okay today. I was able to get out for a walk at my lunch break, which always revitalizes me. So yeah, pretty good. Thanks. How about Jennifer?
Everybody, Jen, Micah, she series, and I've been literally in back-to-back meetings today, but doing well, thank you.
Glad to have you here. Oh yeah, can you pass it on?
Yeah, I'll pass on to Ken.
And Clark, he, him, director of the County Office of Human Rights. It's been a busy day, but overall a good day. I'm doing good. I'll pass this on to Nick.
Hi there, I'm Nick Bennett. Pronouns are he, him. I'm the communication specialist at Workforce and the chair of the Access and Equity Committee of JEDI. I had a very busy day yesterday and I'm going to have a busy day tomorrow. So having a little downtime today, which is much needed. I will pass it to Kate.
Hello, everyone. Today has been an okay day, really busy, packed meetings. I have training all day tomorrow, but I am leaving for vacation on Friday to Arizona. So I am just getting myself to Friday. So that is how I'm doing. Has Jennifer, have you gone yet? Has everybody gone? Brittany, did you go?
I did not go yet.
All right. Hi.
Brittany Reep, Chief Deputy Clerk of the Legislature. Pronouns are she, her. Kind of frazzled today, little busy, busier than I expected to be, but that's okay. I like busy, so glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Brittany. And Brittany is zooming in, staffing us. So despite this empty seat, we are not out to sea on our own. That would go badly. All right. Are there any changes to the agenda? If no, I guess after the bylaws, Nick had a possible event to bring up, so I'd like to stick that in. No objections. Minutes approval for February 22. Could I get a mover? Lisa moves, Kate seconds. Any comments, questions, edits to the minutes? All right, all those in favor? Do we need to do a roll call here?
Yes,
Um,
please.
Okay, great. Roll call vote then. Rachel.
Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
and Dina, are you a voting member? You are muted.
I'm never sure about that. I'm in the DSS seat, but I don't know if I am an official. Like I've been coming instead of Kit, but I don't know if Kit's still listed as the voting member.
Yes.
Okay, Kit is. So I guess Brittany, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that means that Kit would have to be the one to vote and you do
That's
not.
correct. Yep.
Okay. All right, great. Very glad to have you participating, of course, but no vote there, and I am a yes on the minutes, so that is unanimous. All right, moving on, discussion items. We have the bylaws, again, because we forgot to do them last time. As a review, we have not had our committee bylaws updated since 2012, it appears. We spent quite a while at our January meeting going through and editing them, and what you've got in your packet are the old bylaws, the version with a whole bunch of edits in there, and a version that is like cleaned up with just very few comments, which we'll touch on in a moment, and then the if we don't make any other changes, what would be the new bylaws in a clean copy after that. And it does appear that we have a resolution here about it. So I guess, could I get a mover and then we can, and seconder, and then we could discuss?
I'll move.
Okay, Rachel moves. Can I get a second? Lisa seconds. Okay, great.
Veronica,
Yes.
we do have a resolution. It's 11484. I believe it's next in the packet.
Yes. Sorry, yeah, I should read. This is mover. The resolution is approval of amended bylaws, Tompkins County Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee ID number 11484. Which does what it will move. Okay, Rachel still moves, Lisa still seconds, great. So bylaws itself, there were two things that, so the copy on packet pages 14 through 17 is the one I'm going to be looking at. That incorporates all the edits that we talked about in January, and Taylor had two other suggestions for clarifying language, which I would like to point your attention to. One is on the top of packet page 15. There's a sentence saying about qualifications to serve on the committee. Residency within Tompkins County is not a requirement for county staff or community members serving on the committee. And Taylor recommended clarifying this to residency in Tompkins County is not a requirement for county staff. Non-county residents may apply for appointment and be members at the discretion of the committee. So staff members would not have to reside in the county. Community members by default would, but could apply even if they don't. And we would address it case by case. The other edit is at the top of packet page 16. It says, number 3, the vice chair shall be elected annually by the committee at the first meeting after the chair is appointed. And Taylor suggests changing it to at the first meeting following appointment of the committee's chair. Makes sense. No process change, just slightly clearer wording. I would certainly be in support of making both those edits. Do others have thoughts on this or anything else in the bylaws? Rachel.
It was brought to my attention after the last I guess it was a failed attempt at hiring the EDO. That title may change. So I don't know how, have we landed on a new title, or do we want to call that something different just so that,
Right, then this will be.
because if we approve this and then that changes, then we would have to change it again.
And just for people's background information, the reason for that title change being that we've had 2 failed searches with the same title. We were hoping to kind of, we looked at the job description and wanted to kind of brush up the title to hopefully face people. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a finalized decision on that yet.
Can we put some language in the vote that when that is determined, that's the language that just goes in?
Yes, we can if you'd like to.
Okay, let's go with that then.
Great.
Great. So would that be like language in the resolution?
In the bylaws.
In the
Language in the bylaw. Or wait. Oh, yeah.
Brittany, you have to handle this. So what would you recommend?
Let me pull up the resolution, 1 second.
I'm imagining the resolution is very short. It just says, whereas the Tompkins County Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee has updated and revised its bylaws to reflect current procedures, now therefore be it resolved on recommendation of the Budget, Capital, and Personnel Committee that the bylaws of the Tompkins County Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Committee be and hereby are approved. Resolved further that a copy of the revised bylaws shall be kept on file with the clerk of the legislature. So I wonder, would it be appropriate to add a resolved in between those that says something along the lines of resolved further that if or when I don't know how you would say it, like if or when the title for the Chief Equity and Diversity Officer position is updated, that all instances of Chief Equity and Diversity Officer in these bylaws will be replaced with a new title?
Yes, we can do that.
I second that motion,
Okay.
if that was a movement.
Yes, I'm moving that. 8 seconds. All right, so I guess that that amendment is on the table. Any discussion on that? Trying to practice my Robert's rules. All right, let's vote on that amendment. Rachel? Yes. Lisa?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That is unanimous. Great. Thank you, Rachel, for bringing that up. Kate, for the suggestion. Other comments, discussions on the bylaws? Do we need to take a formal vote to make those amendments that Taylor suggested?
If they're considered friendly to the mover and seconder, no, they just need to be acknowledged that they're friendly.
Okay, that was Rachel and Lisa. Are they friendly?
Yes.
All right, friendly it is. Any other comments, proposed edits? All right, thanks. I think we did do really good work diving into this a few months ago. So let us vote on the resolution on the table to approve the bylaws. Rachel? Yes. Lisa?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes. Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That is unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. All right. Next, Nick, you had a diversity workforce hopeful future event to tell us about.
Yes, so in my office at Tompkins County Workforce Office of Employment and Training, we have a diversity, not diversity, wrong word, disability resource coordinator, who is, she and I are planning, we're calling it the Disability Employment Summit. And it is going to be this June at Cultivare. It's an education / sort of conference, mini one-day conference for small businesses and employers in Ithaca. And the idea for this came about with our disability resource coordinator getting a lot of requests and inquiries regarding how can a manager or a supervisor, HR, enact accommodations for folks with disabilities. And with like real experiences and folks coming to our office with these questions. And there are actually a lot of resources for accommodations for employees. And so we're bringing in a speaker from the Yang Institute at Cornell, and essentially putting this on as an educational and awareness training summit with food from Cultivare. And with all of this, I mean, I'd like to send y'all it's like a little letter that we've made with the details. We're citing some data from 2019 studies that were done of Tompkins County, the labor force in Tompkins County. And there's an 11% population who identifies as having a disability, and only 4% of that population are employed. And so we're just looking at a lot of these barriers, and a big piece of that is not putting the onus on the disabled population to have to make everything work for themselves, right? It's also on the employer and the business to be accommodating. And so big piece of this is we have gotten our speaker paid for, but we need sponsorship. It's not really that pricey of an event, but with us basically putting this on for the first time, we have sought some support from the Downtown Ithaca Alliance, and we're kind of waiting on that at this point. And essentially, if anybody has ideas, we're a little late for grants, but actually our disability resource coordinator is funded by grants. And so we're able to use a little bit of the money from that for this, but if anyone has ideas, I would be really, really open to that. And I would like to be able to share the letter detailing the events with folks, and feel free to send to your circles and professional communities. Really appreciate it.
Awesome, thanks, Nick. Can you say again, I think it'd be great if you sent the letter around. Can you remind us also what day this is going to be?
Yes, it is going to be June 13th. It's a Tuesday, and it's going to be at Cultivare. And the idea is that it will be an in-person event, but for the sake of accommodation, right, we would, gladly stream people in, and they will miss out on the food. But it really is meant to be a conference type training event that is really all about just awareness and education, and no shaming, and just really supporting our community.
Cool. Thank you. Are there questions or comments about this from others? I have a couple. Kate?
Yeah, well, I can go. It doesn't matter. I can go second.
Go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of the people that we're talking about that have disabilities are self-reported, right? And so as we're talking about employers being more sensitive to what might be there, and maybe you said this, and so if I missed it, is there some focus on this that's going to be to how to help employers look for maybe the not so subtle or the more subtle unself-reported, if that makes sense, disabilities? Because
Yes.
I know that's what they're willing to say they have is not, for a myriad of reasons, they often don't do that. So
Yes, absolutely. And so we are, a big focus of our work too is with drawing awareness and identifying and supporting the invisible disabilities, right? The maybe less obvious. Oftentimes, we could think of this as, well, no, that's even a generalization. I was going to say not necessarily a physical disability, but folks with chronic fatigue. That is a physical disability that might be invisible, right? And so absolutely our speaker from Yangtan, as well as a big piece of what we tried to teach just in this pocket of us at Workforce is how to, for the employee, how they can go about the process of identifying that they want an accommodation, how they can go through that process, talking with our coordinator about, what accommodations might look like for them specifically. It's tailored to every person, right? But this education is really, in this summit, is going to teach employers, right, and businesses, management, leadership, HR, about how to properly and effectively offer accommodations and identify that it is a necessary, an important piece of improving and diversifying their workforce, and that it really is a benefit to the business or organization.
Thank you. Actually, one of my questions got answered in there. Another was, what amount of further sponsorship money are you looking for? Like roughly order of magnitude?
So about $1,000. And it's really, like, I've been doing a handful of events like this, and it's fairly low, right? But with us planning this, we really started planning this in January, and it came about with the need and inquiries from the community, right? It's really to meet that need. Hopefully this could be an annual event, right? And so we would begin planning earlier for next year's. But yeah, we're looking at about $1,000, and we're also hoping to be able to create like certificates for folks who attend, essentially that it will be an official training with Yangtan and Northeast ADA. They'll have put in 3 to 4 hours of training time. And so we'd like to be able to give folks certificates. And we're not charging any of the attendees. So it really is a benefit to the businesses who attend this. They are really getting this training, the food, a certificate, right? And we just need a little bit more to make it happen.
Thank you. I'm wondering, like, in terms of how this intersects with this committee's goals. One, I think it's very relevant. So just loosely, if anyone on this committee wants to go, I'll look at my calendar. I'll try to. I think it sounds like it's going to be super educational and relevant to, we have ADA compliance and some accessibility stuff in our goals, as well as disability as part of diversity. I think I may have said diversity workforce event instead of disability earlier, so I do apologize.
Me too.
They're not that identical. So I do want to flag that. And I don't feel like financially, would it make any sense for this committee to consider contributing money, or is this, this might be outside the bounds of that, and I'm kind of looking toward the staff for thoughts, open to being shut down.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I'm not sure I've seen what the budget is for this year or what things need to be paid for this year out of that budget either.
I'd like to say also that no intention, there was no intention of asking the committee itself to fund. More so, we're all from these different agencies and departments and pockets of the county, and it being a shared interest priority, as you said, one of the many pieces of diversity. So wanted to just share.
Yeah, totally. And I hear that, yeah, you weren't asking the committee to contribute money. I am bringing this up. I guess I don't know what our budget is for this year either. And even just from that, that might mean that timing wise, it wouldn't work out to approve sponsoring things.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that. So I'm not sure. I imagine it's the same as it was last year, but I don't have a copy of last year's with me.
Have you reached out to the community foundation at all?
I have not.
So there's an event, Better Together, that is supposed to raise mental health awareness. That's happening on the 13th of May. And the group that is sort of planning that, oh goodness, I'm failing, Gloria, I think that's
Gloria,
her name.
yeah.
So she said that they are really looking at trying to do some things different with their funding. And so we ran into the same sort of like timing. Their spring grant cycle has already started. We're actually doing reviews now. So it was kind of late to turn in something, but she said that she would suggest the people who were doing this event would reach out to her and set up a one-on-one meeting to see if there wasn't some additional funds somewhere where something like this could be funded. And being that this is, I think of community benefit, it might be worth a conversation, and there might be some funds available. Just a thought.
Thank you so much, Kate. You said Community Foundation?
Yes.
Fabulous. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
Awesome. Thank you. Other thoughts?
Hi there, Rob Brown here. Sorry to join late, and thanks for bringing me to panelist. I'm jumping in on that particular point, double dipping my volunteer roles as a board member of the Community Foundation. Definitely reach out to the staff of the Community Foundation of Tompkins County. The organization does have interest in this area and funding, and the staff are always amazing to work with, identifying resources and brokering relationships with donor advisors who may share interest in your area. So reach out to Gloria Kwaku or Amy Levere there, and they can get you on track with whatever they might be able to recommend.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
That sounds great. Thank you, Robert. And welcome, Robert. Welcome, Annie, who are here now. Apologize if you were waiting as attendees for a long time. That's what happens when I was playing clerk a little bit. Okay. My last question on this, is this workshop something we would want to like amplify announcement of within our own county workforce or among hiring managers or things, or is that something you're already doing? Or that you feel the county is like all set on understanding? I would guess not, but.
Yeah, that is a really good question. And being within workforce in the county, that's absolutely right, like we have our board, our workforce development board, right, who is totally supporting this, and they actually are the reason why we have a big piece of it already funded, right? So it's really fabulous. But absolutely the kind of the outcome, and we're really hoping that like we've created this awesome partnership relationship with Yangtan Institute and Northeast ADA, and they actually do free trainings. And one of the bylaws that I'm connecting this back to our bylaws. I think I had mentioned this in an email. The bylaws at the end of our list.
Bylaws or goals?
I'm sorry. Yep, my apologies. The county audit for accessibility with compliance, right? So that is absolutely Yangtan and Northeast ADA offer those services for free, and especially within the Tompkins County community, there's been a lot of partnership and discussion of, right, Cornell and the community really benefiting from that service, not just academically, but it's really coming back into the community as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
As a one last thing on my part here, Nick, if you'd be willing to share email contact information with the clerks to bounce to me, I can provide you with a digital introduction to the staff of the Community Foundation. Again, without guarantees, but I can do that.
I would really appreciate that. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
So I would also just add that job fairs for workforce development, Office of Employment and Training, Human Resources, is kind of something that occurs pretty regularly, and larger community job fairs can be certainly shared. We have that email newsletter that each department uses and can go out to constituents and subscribers. And then anything that would be of interest, we can share with our workforce. But so I think that there's systems already exist for job fairs and things. It's pretty much a common occurrence.
Okay, great. Thank you. Other comments on this? All right. Thank you, Nick. And he's going to send out more info digitally. But for now, moving on to maybe the meat of the meeting is going back to our committee goals, looking at some updates and next steps for them. And I think if it makes sense, we could just go through, we don't need to talk about every single one, but go in order of how they are in the document, other than the Heritage Months and Juneteenth check-in, which are their own things on the agenda. Also, if we do that, the very first thing, review and update bylaws, we did that, so we can feel accomplished. The recruiting new members, we have one vacancy here right now, just to let everyone know. So this is something you could amplify within your networks, as well as relatedly, looking at recruitment and retention, sharing just the vacancies for all sorts of other like paid employment jobs in the county within your networks. I think, Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong, we just talked about or that part we didn't, we had like just sort of a soft plan for now to share out the information.
Yes.
But nothing more, right?
Mhm.
The compensation study, there is a little bit of an update on, results aren't available, but on timing, there's a little bit of an update on that. Lisa, did you want to share?
Sure, so the Human Resources Department has received hopefully the final iteration of the compensation study from the Burke Group and are in the process now of combing through the results. And we're trying to determine the cost of implementation and working on a plan to share the results formally with the legislature and with the rest of the organization. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. And I think that's something, you know, this committee can return to like once that plan has gone public.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. The next piece was about implementing diversity and inclusion awards throughout Tompkins County. I didn't actually have a like thought or next action for that, but I'm wondering if anybody else has a suggestion for a next step or just wants to flag like, hey, this is something I am particularly interested in working on.
I
Jen?
have a question. Does the county have other types of awards, or would this be kind of an add-on or a separate thing from what the county already has?
The only other award that I'm aware that was has been presented with any regularity is the through the legislature Youth and Service Awards. That's kind of a recognition of county youth or community youth that have done good things. And this Diversity Inclusion Award, to my knowledge, from having been on WDIC a long time, we have awarded it twice. Once we tried in an inaugural way to get it going, and we with one employee, and then the second time was, I think, awarded to Leslyn when she was retiring from the legislature. So we have not had it's not been done with any regularity, and nor has anyone really committed the time to try to make it happen with regularity.
I do recall, correct me if I'm wrong, I think when this came up before, there was like, I mean, I think Leslyn herself was interested in having this continue. I don't know whether she wanted to like work on it herself, beyond, you know, having done the work she did for a couple decades.
One way of approaching it would be also if we are aware of someone that is doing good work either in the county organization or in the community, and anyone wants to bring it to this committee for consideration, then we could rally around that individual and not have it be like a every month or every year kind of thing. Approach it that way.
Definitely not an every month thing. Please.
Yeah.
We were trying, at one point, that was the goal, and that was just
It's too much.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think it would probably also work best with some sort of like call out or announcement of just, hey, this is a thing, or this could like, or even if it's like reminding everyone, congratulations to like Dr. Leslyn McBean Claiborne for winning what is the name of the award? Is it named after her?
It is.
Okay,
I mean, that was what we did.
yeah.
The last
I
time we
think.
changed it. I don't think it had a name really, so we did add
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, awesome. So just reminding people like that it exists. We know people are doing good work, and so please let us know if you, and I don't quite know how to amplify this, but let us know if you know anyone who you think
Was
should be like recognized publicly with this. Annie?
Yeah, I like that. Maybe we could have, maybe 2 or 3 people separately, kind of just working on it. And that, you have something like Leslie's picture on there with it, and then a date, that applications are due, and maybe because to make it easiest for people, put forms, somewhere, a couple places, around, or many places around, the county buildings, and then people can just submit them and put it in a piece, in mail versus people that don't have computers or things like that. Anyway, just trying to think, and I'm not trying to micromanage it, but I'm just trying to think of things that a small, a couple people might come up with, like, this is actually how we would do it, and to make it as easy for people, and maybe kind of fun.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds fun to me. I don't think it's micromanaging. I think it's suggesting concrete actions, which is valuable. Rachel?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we're working right now on reconvening Jedi because they've kind of just been on a pause. So Joan, Ruby, and I got together and we sent out an email to all members, making sure, or just checking in to see if people are still interested in participating and at what level. So we asked all the chairs and vice chairs, are you still interested in a leadership role? And we asked everyone else, are you still interested in participating? Do you want to stay on the same committee? Do you want to change committees? Are you interested in a leadership role? And so once we come back together, I think this is something that we could bring to the recognition and appreciation committee to work on too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be people on WDIC. We have other employees that, serve on that committee that could help do that work.
Yeah, awesome. And I know it's noted here to do this in conjunction with Team Jedi's Recognition and Appreciation Committee. I wonder if, would it make sense to see if there are like a person or two from this committee who wants to work on, even making an announcement and form, like Annie said, with folks from that Jedi committee once it exists? I could volunteer myself, but I don't want to jump on it. No one's chomping at the bit for this. I'm going to temporarily volunteer myself pending the committee coming back together. And honestly, I would appreciate reasons to connect to other folks on Jedi who aren't here.
And one thing we need to still look into too is that Ruby and I both remember when we were planning for giving that award to Leslin that we had a plaque made. I'm almost certain Shannon did the work on that and picked up a plaque, but Leslin said that she didn't get a plaque. So we need to check back in on that, because I know there was one, and I know that WDIC paid for that. So we need to figure that out too. I need to talk to Shannon, and maybe the clerks might even have an invoice from when that happened. So I'll try to track down when that was and see if I can connect with Taylor to see if we can find that we actually paid for that and from where.
That sounds great. Sure. Not great that it's missing, but
Right.
great to find.
Yeah, we'll
Good
figure it
luck.
out.
Okay, anything else about awards? The next item was about find people to host the Tompkins County Workforce Reading and Discussion Program in collaboration with the city of Ithaca and host it once this year. I did mention this at some point to Shelley Michelle Nunn over at the city, but did not really follow up with a deeper conversation about what that entailed. Though another relevant thing that's happened is there is this, not from within the county or the city, this community read of My Grandmother's Hands going on, which is, not the same thing, but I wonder if, I didn't have the announcement pulled up. But I think the Ultimate Reentry Opportunity URO is running it, I believe, or at least Tylee Mugambi, who works there, has been advertising this. He came to the Public Safety Committee meeting last week to talk about it, brought some copies of the book, and Lisa and I had mentioned, I guess, that you'd been in contact with him, or
I haven't been
had
directly.
not,
but
okay.
I know that there have been conversations with some of the county staff who are facilitators, where he had asked if the county would want to participate or contribute funding for books. Staff he contacted said, yes, let us know how much and by when to order them or whatever, and haven't heard back from him. So they've tried. So
He did speak today a little and showed a copy of that book at the CJATI advisory board meeting. And I did think he said it was like a 15-month book read. So it's a little bit longer than
Wow.
most. So not that should dissuade, just so you know that.
Yeah, I think it's like once a month for, I guess, 15 months. The first meeting has already happened, but I think and personally hope that it's like fine to jump in later. I think they're discussing just a small amount of the book each time. And so I did run into Tylee today and didn't have time to talk more about this, but mentioned this, like, did you want the county to contribute money to buying books? He says they currently have, it was either like 80 or 180 books that have not been distributed yet. So I don't know what their goals are. That sounded like a lot, but I gave him my phone number and we are going to check in later, hopefully. So broadening a little, does anybody have thoughts about, is this community read something we'd want to explore amplifying in our workforce with or without the city, and or what would it look like to set up another workforce reading and discussion program within our two governments?
So I think the scale is a little bit different. The workforce reading and discussion program, that where it's usually four weeks in a row, I believe, and the either text or book that they choose is a bit more focused. It's lighter, it's a little more doable for people to participate in for that short focused period of time. And last year, I know the Chief Equity Diversity Officer that was in their job description, kind of, not job description, but it was in their plan of work to do that and organize it for the year. And I believe the last time we talked about this, I said, since we're hiring and that person coming is imminent, that will be on their plan of work for the coming year. And that's, I still think that could be the case.
Yeah, also historically, it's been, the numbers have been, fairly small. I mean, intentionally small in terms of structuring it. So we would register up to 15 participants over a 4-week period. So it's not on the scale of, say, what the current community book read is doing, which was modeled on another community book read that was done back around 2010 or so of Martin Luther King Jr.'s book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community? And that extended out for quite a while. So this one has been much more precise and more focused and limited in numbers in order to encourage a certain type of dialogue, and also to be mindful too of the time that people have to commit to it for, an hour every over a 4-week period.
Yeah, thank you. So it sounds like something brought up if we're interested in the Tompkins County Workforce Reading and Discussion Program. Is this something to just set aside until a Chief Equity and Diversity Officer or potentially newly entitled equivalent is hired? Or is this something, or do we want to look at an alternate way to run it? If there's any, find somebody who would want to, which I think we discussed that possibility at our last meeting, and also the difficulty of this in that, everyone's already got a job with a description that does not involve running a reading program.
Yeah, we've operated for several years trying to get different departments to take it on, and for, I don't know, several years running, it fell to one department, which was assessment, Irene and Tammy in assessment, and they just couldn't do it anymore. So I think the notion of trying to pass the responsibility from department to department, it's not that easy to find a responsible party. So depending upon when we want to make this happen, it would have to be later in the year, being that we're back to the drawing board with the search.
Annie?
I like the idea of waiting for the Chief Equity and Diversity Officer from this perspective, that might be a way for them to get in and know some of the staff and work with some of the departments, in a not leisurely. I mean, it's often heavy books you're reading and stuff and discussing, but that's kind of a way for them to get into working with people. I don't know what other folks think, and not saying that they have to take that on all the time, but just I don't know what Lisa thinks, but is that kind of an easy thing for them to start up, I would think, right?
Sure.
Compared
Yep.
to other things we might be asking them to do. It's an easy engagement task.
Yeah, the blueprint is already there for it.
Kate?
Yeah, thanks. I don't mean to change conversations, but I have to step off for another meeting. There were a couple things I just wanted to make a couple announcements. I mentioned earlier that there's going to be the Better Together event that's going to be happening at Stewart Park on the 13th. It's funded by it's funded by a lot of different agencies, but Family and Children's Services is a big one, and it's going to be, I believe, running from 10 to 3, and it's a free event. There's going to be some food trucks, different interactive things, some bands, and it's just to raise awareness around mental health and sort of the destigmatization of folks that need it. So I wanted to say that. And then there is a documentary that's made its way around different film festivals that deals with youth and the mental health crisis that they're fighting. And I have mentioned it a few times in different meetings, Anxious Nation. They are doing a live screening May 3rd. You can look it up and get the trailer, and you can buy tickets if you would like. I think it's like $12.99 for adults and $7.99 for students. But being that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, we spoke to the producers, and our department is going to be bringing this in for a screening, hopefully in Cinemapolis, before the end of May. So I just wanted to put this out there and let you all know, and there'll be more to come, but just to put this on your radar, maybe on your calendars. So, and I will see you all later. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. Okay. I thought I saw a hand up. Now I don't. It's sounding like people want to just let the reading and discussion program sit until there's a chief equity and diversity officer. Does that seem like it's the will of the group? Or does anybody disagree with this? Okay. And welcome, Leslyn, by the way. You've been spoken about, and we are happy to have you.
Thank you. And I just want to register that I disagree that we have to wait for the CEDO. I don't know what the timeline is. I'm sorry I missed the discussion. If it's somebody who's probably coming on sooner rather than later, then I'm fine with that. Otherwise, this was supposed to be something that was already set so that, you know, any staff, whether it's from JEDI or whoever, can pick it up and run with it. So I don't know what the timeline is for the CEDO, but I think when things like this happen, these things die, and that troubles me. So just registering my opposition. And if I can get my camera to work.
Thank you.
Maybe y'all are hearing me. I don't know if you're even hearing me because my microphone wasn't working either.
We are hearing you, yeah.
Okay, all right, that's it. I'll shut up.
And I will raise it with JEDI when we have another meeting. We have not been having meetings, but we're trying to reconvene the committees and the people that are on there, asking them to recommit to their roles on JEDI. So I will raise that to see if there's any interest for somebody to lead.
Lisa, were you going to say something? No pressure. Okay. And Leslyn, I think the CEDO search is unfortunately back at the drawing board stage again, pretty much. So we don't have someone coming on soon. Something we did talk about was the just started community read of My Grandmother's Hands. And I wonder if, I don't know if it works with their structure, but would it make sense to see if we could get a county cohort joining that? Like, no one's running the program, but if like, see if like, hey, does it do any county employees want to sign up to like try to be in a discussion group together at it? I don't know if that's a possibility. I know like some other community read I helped lead once that like, that was an option on offer if people wanted.
Should we check with them to see if they have the capacity for, I mean, I don't know how many people, we rarely have 15 people on with the county. It'd probably be 10 or less, I would imagine, but maybe check with them first to see if they have the capacity for more and if they would like us to do that.
Right, this would be like pending their ability to accommodate that.
So there are a few county staff who have been involved in the, I believe, the steering committee and their facilitators. One is Dominic and the other is there's the health department. It will come to me. So there, we do have people who have been involved throughout, and I would suggest talking, you know, speaking to them. Maybe Dominic would be a good point of contact. Samantha Hilson, I think.
Okay, thank you. I will ask Dominic about this. Anything else on reading groups for the moment? The next thing, where are we? Monitor the implementation of recommendations stemming from the 2018 climate survey. So I think this is also something that I don't think Rachel and I had a particular next action lined up for. But the most recent jumping off place for this was a summary document of work done so far, which is not in the agenda packet, but it went out by email from Taylor a while ago, that I think Amy Hendricks wrote up in last spring. Yes. So this would be, good for all of us to review outside of the meeting, but does anybody have comments right now or interest in diving deeper into this specifically? For instance, a way we don't have to move forward but could is for maybe a little small task force from this committee to go through the recommendations in that report and identify things that WDIC specifically could do something about. I also want to flag that it was Team Jedi doing the bulk of that work, and Team Jedi was just a bulk of the report.
No, not,
Yeah.
well,
Oh.
Team Jedi they were kind of a result of that climate survey, I think. But they weren't really working on those recommendations. It was a separate committee that Amy got together from across the organization that did the recommendations.
Right, thank you. I had forgotten that was separate. Well, maybe scratch my comment about Jedi then. Any other thoughts? Comments, questions? Is there anyone here who'd be interested, or what do you think of the idea of a ad hoc task force to dive through the recommendations and see what makes sense for WDIC to tackle? To consider tackling. I'm not imagining that being a very big job, truly could be just one meeting.
To be honest, I feel like my subcommittee with Jedi would enjoy going through this and parsing through the recommendations with the DEIA-J lens. So just putting that out there. I mean, we only have 3 members, but we are committed.
Consider me interested if I can, if everybody else's schedule works with when I can be available.
Cool, thank you.
That's Rob speaking, by the way.
Okay, yes, thanks, Rob. And thanks, Nick. Anyone else? All right, well, what if we tap you, Rob, Nick, and the other 2 members of your subcommittee to do exactly that? Does that sound doable?
Excellent. Yeah, I would just need the access.
Oh, yes, of course. I guess maybe.
Pretty sure Taylor sent something to the whole committee.
Could it have been before Nick joined? Probably not. I will find it and send or I'll resend to everyone. Why not? Even though I think, yeah.
Could be that I just need to search for it.
That's okay. I will resend to everyone, and if you don't need it resent, you can delete that email.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Great. The next point was supporting the hiring and onboarding of a new Chief Equity and Diversity Officer. We mentioned this. I don't know if Rachel or Lisa, you had any like status updates from internal talks, either on hiring or on like, what if we don't get someone for a long time?
We have had the interview panel has had a subsequent meeting where we sat and discussed different options for things that we could look at doing differently in terms of the how we recruited, the job posting, the salary range, etc., and are trying to make changes accordingly and go back out to search. So I think that's the long and short of it. Dr. Clark and Jen were also on the panel. I don't know if you want to make any further comments.
Jen or Dr. Clark, did you want to add anything?
I don't have anything to add, no.
Yeah, no, I think things have been pretty well stated in terms of just where we are in terms of the search and next steps moving forward.
All right, thank you. Yes, we'll look forward to updates on this, and thanks for doing the work you're doing in the meantime. Next one was follow information regarding Tompkins County's strategic plan to ensure that diversity, equity, inclusion, justice are central and essential components in the plan. I guess this is also a question for Lisa. How could, or sort of what is the process moving forward with that?
So we received funding for a strategic operations plan for the county, the first ever. And we have a contract with a consultant. The consulting firm is named Very Dunn. And we have had we're starting with a small steering committee made up of staff and legislators who are meeting with Very Dunn to start the process of a kickoff process to engage the organization, staff, leadership, legislators, as well as community stakeholders and partners and broader community with, again, starting with an equity lens through this process. And we had, again, envisioned and hoped that we would have our Chief Equity Diversity Officer hired and on the steering committee. But one of the reasons that we selected Very Dunn as our consulting firm is not only do they have a lot of experience in helping public sector agencies through strategic plans, they also have experts in their organization who look at equity, inclusion, diversity as part of the strategic planning process, and will assist us in that, and are geared and equipped for that, and will be asking questions of us as we are asking questions of ourselves through this process. So really excited about working with Barry Dunn and taking next steps and making sure that we have people involved in this process throughout, and we're getting the input and the voices that we want in this process as we proceed.
Great, thank you, Lisa. Sounds good. Questions or comments for Lisa or anyone on the strategic plan process? I'm sure there'll be plenty of updates yet to come. Okay, next was Juneteenth, which is later on the agenda unless you want to discuss it now. I guess that's a question for Dr. Clark, because I know you're planning Juneteenth things. So
I have to.
Yes, yeah, I can speak to that. We have been meeting as a committee, and we've come up with right now plans for 2 events during June, or celebration in relation to celebration of Juneteenth. One would be a career fair at Southside, possibly on June the 9th. And from 11 to 3 p.m. And then secondly, on Friday, the 16th, there will be a business expo at Southside. Last year, one of our events involved a Black Business Expo, which was held in the Tompkins County Center for History and Culture, which was very successful. We will be doing that again a second straight year, but it will be at Southside from 11 to 3. And within that event, there will also be a keynote speaker who will speak. Her name is DeQuetta Jones. She is the head of the Community Foundation for the Greater Capital Region in Albany, and was referred to us by Gloria Kaku. And so we are planning for those events around Juneteenth, and they will be part and parcel of the larger event of Juneteenth that Southside has organized for years on the which will happen the next day, June 17th.
Awesome, thank you.
Mhm.
Is there any, Annie?
Thanks for that update, Dr. Clark. I was wondering if you have anything in the works for LGBTQ Pride Month for June?
Yes, we are working, we kind of joined with the Downtown Ithaca Alliance in planning for LGBT Pride Week events. In fact, which will happen on the week of I guess it will be from the 12th through the 16th. And on Wednesday, the 14th, we are planning to show a documentary on Lorraine Hansberry, excuse me, which is called Sighted Eyes, Feeling Heart. Originally aired on public broadcasting stations, and we're now trying to secure 2 people who can provide commentary and answer questions related to the documentary. As many of you may know, Lorraine Hansberry is the person who, the playwright who created Raisin in the Sun, which was a Broadway success and then became a movie. And this will cover her life and also be reflective of the reality of her relationships with women as well. And so we will be featuring her in the documentary on June the 14th, which will probably be around 7 in the evening. We're trying to secure a location right now, whether it be Cinemapolis or the Center for History and Culture. And that will be
Great,
part
thank
of
you.
what'll be a one-day film festival. Right now, this film is the only film that's been confirmed.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Other questions, comments? Leslyn, did I see your hand up? You know. Dr. Clark, is there anything that you feel like you or your office needs support on planning for Juneteenth, whether from this committee or not necessarily?
I cannot think of anything right at this time. I'll also too, expand that to Rachel, who's also a member of the Juneteenth committee. I mean, but certainly I would be receptive to help and would be more than willing to contact WDIC if we do need some help. But appreciate the question.
Sounds good. Anything else on this topic? Cool, thank you for, in a sense, jumping around. Next thing was exploring diversity training for Tompkins County Advisory Board appointees, employees, and elected officials. And I think a key thing was that second point, considering what specific issues or problems the training is meant to address. And I'm wondering if this makes sense to be a thing to take up after folks go more carefully through the climate survey recommendations. That makes sense. So I think that would be a good starting point for that. Great. So we will circle back to that later in the year. And then continuing to support the adoption and uptake of county values throughout the organization. This is already ongoing. I don't recall this as a super major or involving a lot of initiation goal, but does anybody have questions, comments, thoughts on the values within the county? Or anything you think has been going well for their adoption?
I mean, I have a little minor positive piece of this. I've been noticing more of the posters with the values and the little map piece in other offices around the county, and that just makes me happy to see.
Awesome. Annie?
I'm wondering if do we have a list or some sense of how many posters are out there and actually up? I know last time I went up to the airport, they didn't have any up and they weren't really aware of them, so that was a couple months ago. Just wondering about that. I know the Chief Equity Diversity Officer was working on that, but maybe it would kind of, I don't know, some way to kind of either track that or, go to different departments and kind of look for them and stuff, maybe we can do a little visit, a survey around there or something, or departments, ask the departments, do they have them up? But just kind of some way to check.
Yeah, Nick and then Dina.
This especially feels like it might be pertinent to the communications employees, and especially as one myself, but working closely with Dominic, we've done a lot of initiatives of flyering, postering, sharing graphic designs and important things like this around the county. And I wonder if maybe Dominic has played a role in the sharing of these posters, and if it would be worthwhile to mention to him. We have our own sort of communications staff group. It could be something that we work on as a team.
Thank you. Dina?
I was just, so a very simple thing would just be having Lisa bring it up in department head meeting, reminding department heads that these are there, and then follow up in the next meeting and ask if, they may post it. I know we have them up in elevators and stuff at DSS. So that's just a really simple way to remind people they're available and then follow up that they've been put up.
Cool, good idea. So it sounds like, Leslyn?
You can go ahead and finish your thought. I'm going backwards. Go ahead.
Okay, so it sounds like check in with Dominic about like what he's done for sharing the posters or values and avenues for further communication, and just ask Lisa to bring it up in a department head meeting is easy. As for the like outbound to departments communication on this, it does seem like there's also a piece of going through department by department and or building by building to check like, hey, does this department have awareness of the values and or any posters up? Which is something more that we could do. Where do the posters live, by the way? Does HR have
I think
them?
admin has.
Or
them.
okay. I borrowed a bunch once and now can't remember from where.
Yeah, I think that's what I remember.
The county admin has
Yeah,
them?
I think Dominic has them.
Okay. Leslyn and then Annie.
I will let Annie go ahead because it might be on this particular topic that you all are talking about. I want to go back to, I had to step out of the room for a minute to Juneteenth and Pride Week.
Okay. All right, then Annie.
Yeah, it's kind of an overall topic, but it relates to this of, I like how HR for the wellness program, they do a competition, like a contest, and they send out like quizzes of like who, you've probably seen them, and then wondering if eventually we'd like to do that and then it kind of helps us with some of the metrics too, and it helps with ongoing engagement. And then if we're doing that on a regular basis, sending things out where people are looking for them, that they get engaged in that, like, tell us how many people in your department have gone to this training, in the department with the most people that have gone to, some training that we have. They get points for that. How many posters do you have up? Things like that. And then when you're looking for contribution or suggestions for award nominees, then you have they're already engaged and they know to look at that email because there's something, there's an engagement piece versus, oh, we're just telling them things. And you could include in that, however many times you do it, you could include like, and here's a little known bit of information, whether it's about something in the county or, for when we're doing the different heritage months too. It could be something like that. You include in like this little active newsletter or thing.
I love that. Thank you. What do other people think? Would that be well received or at least neutral received?
I think so.
Yeah.
I love the idea of using the metrics as that data can actually be really useful beyond just the engagement of the employees. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
And just one last thing, if I could say on metrics, that I had brought this up before to Veronica. Because I just had my knee operated on it, I had opportunity to engage in going to the doctor, going to a couple different doctors, going to the hospital, and everywhere I went now, including my primary doctor, there's now a form that asks voluntary information on all kinds of things they're collecting metrics on, and including LGBTQ status and pronouns. So I'd like to see that as something that we can figure out how to work on, because if healthcare places are doing it, they're really careful about what information they ask for. And so it was great to see this. I don't know if it was a joint venture, or maybe I just haven't been to the doctors in a few years, but it was every place I went, orthopedist, hospital, primary doctor. So it was really good to see.
Yeah, thanks for reminding us of that. And I think that's related to like a slightly later down topic. I forgot I still have the form that you brought in, which I could email like a scan of it later for a visual aid, since I cannot pass it into the computer. Cool. So if we were going to do values send out emails about the values with, I'm kind of setting aside the metrics, but like fun facts and values quizzes and things like that, somebody would have to do that. Where should we look for that? And I'm thinking of like, does anyone want to volunteer to work on it, or are there like roles that already like this would fit in with their job? I could imagine the CETO, but other than that.
Again, communication staff, but there's so few of us who are directly official communication staff and even have access to like the Gov Delivery newsletter service. But
Sorry, access to what?
To the newsletter service. It's called Gov Delivery that the county uses. And so again, another thing to bring up with the communication staff and ask Dominic about, but that to me feels like the apart from the CETO role, the kind of next route.
That makes sense. Annie and or Leslyn, I can't tell if these are new hands on this topic or old ones.
Mine's old, but Leslie, I believe, said she was waiting to circle back about Juneteenth.
Is this a good time, Madam Chair? Is this a good time, Madam Chair?
This, I think, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I have to step out of the room, so if this question got asked and answered, I apologize. One, I wondered if the county, similar to how we sign up for IFES parade, are we signed up for Pride Parade? Or are we going to as a county?
A preliminary question I have is there a Pride Parade?
There is. So during Pride Week, I know there's a Pride Parade. I don't remember the date.
That from the DIA doing that?
I don't know if the DIA is doing it. I have to look back in my email. I got something that came across my email about Pride Week, and the various things you can sign up for. And I know the parade was one of them.
It is, I
So,
just looked it up.
okay, thank you.
Sign up for it and have a contingent from the county.
Yeah, I was just wondering if anybody had talked about it, but it's a question. I'll put it out there to the lovely administration of the county and the lovely legislature. So if anybody will join in. And then, Dr. Clark, I'm glad you're still here. Thank you for the 2 events that you shared, for Juneteenth. And I just wondered what events, I'm not on the planning committee this year, I'm sorry I can't be there. But what are the events that are specific for Tompkins County employees? Because I remember when we started it, this was really for getting city and county employees engaged and understanding around Juneteenth and so on and so forth. So I wonder if there were more activities that were just for county employees, because these 2 sound like more public events than they are for employees.
Well, they are public events, but as was the case last year with the, for instance, with the Black Business Expo, there were a number of county employees who participated in that. We would also would promote the keynote, but also to the job fair as well, as something that we would invite county employees to participate in. In fact, Larry Workman will be joining us in terms of planning for the career fair, and can help us to get that information out broadly to the county. We did it on a different format this year, as opposed to having standalone keynote address, looking at a way in which
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Dr. Clark. I think you moved away from your mic.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think I had rolled my chair back. The intent is to broadcast this and promote this as a county event, and doing this during the keynote address and sort of incorporating it within the career fair, which is different than what we've done the 2 previous years, in which we had a standalone keynote address, but we also had other activities, whether it was, the sort of reenactment of the 26 colored troops regiment that fought in the Civil War, or the play. And last year we had the walking tour of historic locations, in the area of Southside. So it's just a little bit different.
Okay, so let me see if I understand you right. So you're saying that the 2 events will be promoted to county employees for them to attend?
Yes.
And I'm still trying to figure out what it is they're getting about Juneteenth from these 2 events, I guess is what I'm trying to understand. Because I think part of the deal we have with the 2 governments coming together was really to sort of educate employees and get employees more engaged around Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess to be specific, the keynote address would certainly focused on Juneteenth and the event. I mean, that's for sure. But we also look at ways in which to engage the community within the context of Juneteenth in that particular season of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Robert?
This is a follow-up to specifically on the engagement with Juneteenth. And forgive my fuzzy memory, it should be sharper. But did we ever get around to why we are adding Juneteenth as a holiday for county staff communication that we talked about doing when we voted that in? because we had some beautiful ideas. I just can't remember if we closed the loop.
I know there was an email to county staff from Lisa when that became a holiday.
Yeah. Which
I
would have
could-
been, I think, 2021.
Right. But I think that's the only thing that happened. There was an email from Lisa that went to all county staff, explaining what Juneteenth is and why we're celebrating it as a holiday, as a workforce.
I think that could be worth reprising, seeing as actually quite appropriately, it is not a holiday that people take for granted. A lot of folks still don't think of it in the way that it should be honored as a holiday to celebrate for a day of rest and reflection on the struggles of those who brought us to today and the struggles that continue today. So anyway, that's my long-winded, circuitous suggestion that perhaps a further, this is still our newest holiday, and this is why we care and why we really would like you to care as deeply as we do.
That's a
I
good
like that
idea.
idea.
And it wasn't long-winded, by the way.
I'm happy to contact Lisa and ask about that, if that's something she'd be willing to do again this year.
That sounds
Okay.
great.
Great.
I just looked back in my email and I do see an email to all county employees attaching the resolution to adopt Juneteenth, which had its own language with a couple of paragraphs about it. And I don't know if more happened than that, but that was, Lisa sent that out May last year. Regarding the Pride Parade, who signs the county up for a parade? Like, who signs us up for the Ithaca Festival Parade? And manages that? Does anyone know?
I think before our communications person did that, is my recollection. When we walked, like, say, in the Ithaca parade. But yeah, so I'm not sure if that's part of Dominic's responsibilities or not. It was kind of like getting people signed up, making sure people had, T-shirts or shirts from the county and whatever else we needed, whether it was a truck to ride in. And so it'd be, we would think about what we would need, some pride, maybe a couple of pride flags and, the Tompkins County banner, or do we have one, whatever else we have for diversity. I don't know if we have a banner specifically for that, because I know we've done tabling in the past.
Okay, I can find out. I'll ask somebody, Dominic, Shauna, Lisa. Since county participation in a parade is already a thing, I would hope this is not too hard to arrange. And thank you.
Also, your chosen examples, Annie, make me really want a Tompkins County Pride truck.
Well,
Yes.
we're looking at our budget for next year, so we'll see if we could put that in there.
That spoiler alert, we cannot. But I love the idea. Leslie, did you have more?
I have my hand up for a technical question. I was actually trying to share something, but there's no chat. Is there no chat available? I was trying to share a link.
Oh.
Did somebody say no?
There does not seem to be a chat available.
Okay. No worries. I thought it was just my funny acting computer.
Nope, I think it's us, because this happened in another unrelated meeting previously.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, apologies. Yeah, feel free to email, I guess. Okay, yeah. Is it a link that you want to send like specifically now in this meeting, or could be people could look after?
It's something people can look after, so I'll shoot an email to the legislature clerk and ask that you please send it to the group.
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Time check. We've got 16 minutes left. I do want to get to the calendar of heritage months. Just briefly, the rest of the goals. One of them is about planning for the workplace climate survey. I don't think we need to discuss that now because that's getting pushed into the future. The heritage months we'll come back to in a moment. And then the gendered language and the accessibility. For the accessibility, it's really helpful, Nick, thank you, to know that the Yangtan and Northeast ADA will do this kind of thing for free. So I think that exploring that would be the next step, and or like having at least some of us, well, I guess you will attend the event you mentioned and build from there, even though accessibility is about more than just in the workforce. The gendered language thing, sorry, mixed up my notes. Rachel and I talked about looking up current policies, which I haven't done yet, and wondering if maybe the move here would be for this committee to craft and ask to change language that would then get sent out to department heads as an ask, not probably something that we could mandate they do. And then in an email to me, Nick brought up another thing about gender stuff, which is how would an employee go about changing their gender marker and or name in county documents or in like the pay system, which I don't have an answer to, but I would like to add that in. Anyone have thoughts or comments right now? Annie.
I think that might go back to like that form that I gave you where it asked about that. So if you're, but it might be, might it be a separate form where you're actually asking formally? I'm not sure. We don't have anybody from HR here.
We do not. So on that part, a next move might be a conversation with Ruby.
So, I mean, I know how it works. Department head would have to submit a new MSD for 28. I'm blanking on the number. And I think one of the difficulties that would arise would be the comfort level and discussions that the employee who's going through the change at different points with disclosing this, right? It's different with a last name versus a first name, and making sure that it's reflected in all of the again, all of the systems and documents, right? It's easy to change a name on Outlook, but then what if your email address then needs to change, right? There's a lot of steps with it. And so, I mean, I know the first piece is the MSD that covers name, gender, address, even pay rate. It covers your job title, all of those things. And you can get access to the email, to your email through that, but I don't think it's as simple as just submit a new MSD.
Okay, thank you. So it seems like something that would be helpful for folks to have is maybe like a document that goes through like details, like here's all the stuff that needs to happen. Or say it's like, so you are changing like your name and or gender and or like the presentation of it, which is what the county would know. Here's all the things that would have to happen, and feel free to add on to this, and some sort of like clear written affirmation that the county will support you in this. And also like how that would look, maybe redundancy in who you could go talk to have assistance with this process if, it so happens that maybe you're not comfortable going to your department head. And that would be the crux of their job anyway. But we should have something. Robert and then Annie.
One, this sounds like a topic that it could be fruitful to ask Ruby to talk to us about as far as current procedure. And now I'm going to tangent really quickly to put a pin in one of my personal pet bugaboos related to, very directly related to bringing one's employment, gender, and sex identity in line with one's personal true identity. I would love to have a conversation at some point about our county legislature passing a resolution advising the state of New York to get rid of the sex-based disability insurance billing. Employers have to pay twice the premium for a female employee as a male, and there's no place even to say gender X, even though the state allows that on driver's licenses now, thank God. And I hate it. And I'm not going to rant further, but I would love to have a conversation about our county advising the state to get rid of that antiquated system. Thank you.
Thanks for flagging that. I will reach out to you to start that conversation. Annie?
So two things. First off, just going off, adding to what Rob just said, place might be to start to have Anna Kellis or Leah Webb or some member of their staff join us for one of our meetings to talk to us about that, about how we could best help with that, and if there's anything on the radar for the state. That's just one idea. But the other thing I was going to say regarding gender and changing the gender identification and and names. So I was thinking the exact same things that you were, Veronica, regarding having somebody a position where people could go, to assistance with that. I like starting out with an affirmation that the county supports this, at the beginning, and so of the policy. So you're talking about this being a policy, right? Or not?
I was not internally clear on that. But if you think it should be, then sure.
Well, let's check, we don't have administration or HR here, but let's bring it up again when you want it on our schedule for our agenda again. But let's find out what they would recommend. I'm thinking a policy that an employee can easily look it up, and then you could have a link to a form or ask HR for, I don't know, some easy way to do it, but absolutely start out with an affirmation of that we support that, as we support employees.
Yeah, that makes sense. It sounds like this is a rich topic with a lot of potential for concrete action that I would suggest putting the gender stuff, word it better, multiple things, given what Robert brought up, on as its own agenda topic for a future meeting.
Right.
Right now, in the last few minutes, can we look at this draft Heritage Month week calendar? So what I put together, but please offer corrections, is a list by month of the heritage and history months, weeks. There's some days that I know of or found online. Obviously, this is not all that exists in the world. I'm sure that list is not ending. The ones in the left column are ones that I found, like I just remembered or found evidence that Tompkins County has celebrated publicly in the past, in some more formal way than, for instance, a legislator speaking on privilege of the floor. The ones on the right, I didn't find that, but I could be missing something. And my thought for this calendar, or what we could make, is probably keeping everything on the left, maybe adding other things, a calendar that we can refer to so that we don't lose track of what should be recognized, even if it's just with the proclamation, if not more, at various times as we go through the year. Also want to flag, it is almost May, and May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, as well as Older Americans Month, and someone should write a proclamation for both of those. But so this is to open the topic. Thoughts?
I don't remember Older Americans Month, there being a proclamation for that.
There
Or at least
was
it went
at some
through WDIC that I remember.
Older Americans Month is on the legislature agenda for next Tuesday.
Oh, fantastic.
Lisa Monroe took care of that.
Great.
And
I figured she would.
probably
Okay,
I could probably go through and grab the Asian,
from last year?
yeah,
Okay,
I forget the exact title, but I can go ahead and forward it to both of you.
perfect.
Okay, that would be great.
Do that right now.
Thanks.
So there's only one then that we need to work on, it sounds like, right? The Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month
Yes,
proclamation.
well, Katrina said she would forward that,
The previous one.
the previous one.
It would need to be updated.
And I
for
would
this year.
imagine, yeah, that we could probably mostly use it as is and see what needs to be updated.
And then we'll need to reach out to someone to accept the
Yes.
proclamation.
Yes.
Okay.
Believe Holocaust Remembrance Day is in January. Just pointing out.
Okay, whoops, thank you. Do you happen to know what day?
Yes. 27th.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? I guess I'm be looking for, if you have thoughts on who might want to accept the AAPI Heritage Month proclamation. If you'd like to work on any proclamations or anything for the things going on in June. If you have any other corrections or additions to the calendar, and if you have ideas of how to manage this going forward, if you want to like email thoughts of how you could celebrate these things or share a calendar or whatnot. A lot for 2 minutes. Annie?
I'd be willing to start working on something for June for LGBTQ Pride Month, just thinking about all the horrible stuff that's happening across the nation, taking away rights of people to really make it an affirmation of the things that we affirm. I mean, I'm just thinking about, like people, trans people to be able to play sports in the sexual orientation that they identify with. There's just so many things going on. I don't know if somebody wants to help me with that or take a look at it.
I would love to help you with that.
Just seems this year especially important to make a really strong presentation of really maybe reach out to the other municipalities, make sure we do some outreach maybe with our communications folks, and maybe Nick could help with that too, that to reach out to the municipalities to see if we can get as many municipalities as possible to pass something similar, and to help people feel more safe in this community.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm happy to help, and this is a passion of mine. I just thinking about all the many things I'm taking on, I'd be happy to help with this.
Yeah, I'd like to help too, because this is important. I had also been thinking of exploring whether we could try to do a sanctuary county thing for like gender affirming care and trans people in Tompkins County. I know, actual tangible county powers in the like sanctuary jurisdiction kind of vein are pretty limited, but we could use what we have. I have not like actually concretely explored this, so I wanted to name it.
And just as an aside, under the DIA website, they have for Pride Month, the parade applications are due on the May 19th. To participate in the parade, which is on June 9th at 6 p.m.
Great, thank you. I think we are at the end of time. I know a lot to follow up.
I'll work on the Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month proclamation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Rachel. Any last comments from any committee members before we close?
I just want to quickly share with folks that this weekend, beginning tomorrow, is the Black to the Future Film Festival, Black Film Festival, the first annual at Cinemapolis. So please go through if you have an opportunity. It is Thursday through Sunday, different movies, even a sing along to the Wiz, I believe, on Saturday. So that's happening. So I just wanted to let people know. That's it.
Thank you. Devastated now I'll be out of town on Saturday. Other things? Going once? Going twice? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Meeting,
Thanks
and I'm
all.
glad you
Take care.
glad you changed it to 2 hours. Thanks,
Yes.
Veronica and Rachel.
Catch y'all soon.
Almost
Thank you so
ended on
much.
time.
Thanks, everybody. Have a